Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of I Cast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we play D&D. I'm Thomas, your DM for this adventure, and around the table we have
Lieutenant Ignis Harkon,
Maximus Shans,
Ataraxia Kalian,
and Buster Bilgewater.
a newly appointed captain to the man's promise, Ataraxia, a 13-year-old satyr, which was met with cheers and celebration from the crew, as there was a week deliberation of who to appoint to this esteemed calling on the ship, to lead this ship and the crew to a new direction, all having been released from servitude to the treacherous and villainous Barnabas Hagen. As the man's promise, the cheers die down, we join our band of adventurers outside the captain's quarters with the celebration of Ataraxia coming to a close. And that is where we jump into this week's adventure. So, everyone, you have appointed yourself a captain. Ataraxia, dude.
that's me.
Yeah! There are cheers being thrown to the skies, and crew members are coming up to you going, "Pleasure to serve under you, Captain. Pleasure to serve." The satyr horns dude is like, "Satyr horns for respect!"
Yeah, man.
Just shoots those satyr horns at you.
Well, everybody, I guess now I'm the captain. I need to make a first official degree as captain. Raise your hand if you think the man's promise is a bad name for a ship. And Ataraxia raises his hand.
Ignis raises her hand.
Yeah. I cast Mage Hand because I'm at the helm.
There's a good 3/4 that are in agreement. They raise their hands. And some of them, you can tell it's probably because they were brought under servitude as slaves on this boat. And they're like, we just want a fresh start. But then the other fourth, most of the other fourth, they look around when they don't raise their hand and they quickly start to raise their hand as if they had raised with everybody else.
See, here's the thing. If we call it the man's promise, we won't be able to keep it. Am I right, everybody?
Yes. Oh, did we not all? No one was
That
gonna.
wasn't a call and
Okay.
response. Just Buster, yes!
My dude, you know what's up. So here's the deal. We have this opportunity to take this ship and make it our own. So, anybody, if you've got suggestions for a cool name that we can rename this ship to, I'm going to put a scroll out here in front of the captain's quarters. And if you've got a suggestion, either write it or find somebody who knows how to write it. I can write it for you on the scroll. And then we'll have a party. We'll have a pizza party. Fish Guts is a great pizzaiolo. He will make some pizza for us. He definitely, yes, Thomas, Fish Guts is going to make some pizza for us here at sea.
Yes, and get his wood, well, not wood oven now, but
Yeah.
we'll figure out a way.
Yeah, we're going to have a pizza party and we're going to vote on what the name of the ship is going to be. Because our awesome friend over here, Sandara Quinn, she knows a place on the mainland where we can get this ship squibbed so that hopefully Harrigan's not going to find us and ruin us.
As there's a little bit of silence that comes over the crowd, somebody pipes up and goes, "You're saying that we get to choose the name for the ship?"
Yeah, we got like this whole new avenue ahead of us. Look out there on that horizon. And Ataraxia points towards where the sun is beginning to set, shooting rays of gold and crimson across the bouncing waves. And out in the distance, a couple dolphins flip up out of the water. And he's like, man, look at how beautiful our future is. We can take command of our destiny, and we can do that first by coming up with a sick name for this ship.
So we would just like submit our idea and we all get to vote about it?
Yeah, all ideas will be taken into consideration, even Bodie McBoatface. I guess that's an option too. So, everybody...
Ataraxia, go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
It's not an option. I look at everybody. It's not it one's not an option.
Persuasion.
Do not write that name down.
Well, that happens to be a 23.
Okay. As you are saying these words, there is an initial hesitance or resistance to what you're saying. A lot of these folks have served under other captains. They've been the low of the low. They will always be the low of the low. But then you're presenting an option for democracy here, and it's confusing and met with, I say this politely, but ignorance of how to approach the situation. And you are going, okay, all right. And so a bunch of other people are kind of nodding their heads, and with the 23 persuasion, they go, okay. And then so you hear some murmurs start to come up as people start to chat amongst each other about what names of the ship they think would be super cool or they would want their ship to be called.
Yeah, and seeing this confusion, I pull up a chair and I flip it backwards, and I sit backwards on the chair, and I go,
no.
Hey, everybody.
Riker.
Yeah, hey, everybody, folks, raise your hand if you feel confident that one of the captains you worked under in the past cared about you as an individual.
Literally no one raises their hand.
All right, now, everybody, raise your hands. I'm your captain. That's an order. Everybody raise your hands.
So they raise their hand.
All right.
Yeah. I think maybe some of these orders you need to have Iggy over here shouting them out so that everybody can hear what you're saying, because
Good idea.
this isn't really a circle.
Good idea. Okay, so yeah, everybody, now that you've got your hands raised, raise your hand if you know right now that your captain cares about you as an individual. And I look around at all the hands raised and I say, look at that. Everybody, welcome to the crew.
Your captain cares about you.
In unison, they all go, "Oh, Captain!
Yes, Captain.
Oh, Captain!"
I feel like that's important.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Ataraxia steps up from his backwards cool teacher chair and pins a piece of parchment next to the door to the cabin's quarters and says, yeah, new ship name's right up here. I'm going to go talk to Fish Guts and get that pizza party started.
Get your names up on the parchment. We'll vote tonight.
Everybody rushes off and just scatters, going to their duties or continuing to talk.
I bet you it's a deep dish pizza. I bet you it's gotta be in a big old pan.
The greasiest thing you've seen.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about how would you cook a pizza on a boat for a solid couple minutes now.
All right. Well, as everybody scatters to their duties and Ataraxia, you go take a quick conversation with Fish Guts. Fish Guts kind of looks at you with his cigar that's sticking out of his mouth over a pot of stew as he's stirring it and goes, well, you say pizza?
Yeah.
You want some pizza tonight? As this fish head comes bobbing to the surface with the flounder that was previously killed and talked about and lauded by everybody that group cut up for tonight's meal.
Oh boy, yeah. Here, I'll help you out, my dude. I'll make sure this happens because I made a promise as a captain, dude. Being captain, pretty wild experience so far.
Well, I mean, I guess we can have a soup pizza.
Soup pizza.
Yeah, just made that up. We can get it together though. And he kind of looks over at the flour and goes, all right, you start making some patties over there, some flour patties, and
Flour patties,
we'll figure out this pizza situation. All right.
All right, dude. Ambrose Fish Guts Croup, have you ever made promises and then suddenly realized maybe you shouldn't have made that promise?
Oh yeah. Yep. All the time. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one I have to keep, but in the future, I'm going to be more mindful about that.
He goes, that's all right. New captains, they always try to start off strong and making the crew wanted to like them. So I've seen it a dozen times.
Nice. So I'm doing a good job so far. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you're pretty on par with a lot of the other captains I've seen. So yeah.
Cool. Because honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're going to go with it.
Well, see how things shake out in the next few days, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I start making some flour patties.
That is a guy who does not worry about his place on the ship at all.
You know, as the chef and cook, people gotta eat.
He's set.
You know? Yeah.
People
Job
gotta
security.
eat.
Mm-hmm.
Buster, we jump to you at the helm. After you said under your breath, "This is crazy," and you go to the helm here, make sure the boat is going straight. What's going on in your mind? What's going on with Buster here?
So I have like two disparate thoughts. One is in line with how I ended the last episode, which is this is crazy, and this child who wanting to like this idea of like equality, like in Buster's mind, the proper action of a first captain should be like a set of executions, like just kill a few people really quickly, just to kind of like establish your authority. So this whole like buddy stuff concerns him, just like on like his experience with pirating, and like maybe a little frustration about like this is not how we should be doing this. But the other side of him is he does consider himself to be like a loyal team member to that core group of 4 that made the decision to make him captain. And even though he didn't like raise his hand and say like I'm with him, you know what I mean, he just like tried to covertly magically gust some wind in the scene and then probably just walked right back to his post. I think he will try and establish himself as like a harmless ear, so to speak, for any other, like, you know, the old heads, the older maybe like experienced pirates that might be feeling some of those things as well, or just disgruntled, any kind of people who don't like this new vibe. I want them to feel like they could come hang out at the helm and, you know, take over for a bit so I can like eat or smoke or something, and then and maybe they just start talking about their stuff. So I have terrible perception, so I just want to, rather than looking for it, I want to just open myself up for opportunities of it. But I'm not really going to communicate that with the captain or anybody. I may even like just I won't call him captain even in public. I'll just call him kid, you know what I mean? Or, you know.
Right.
But I'm not going to treat him poorly. And I'm probably not going to tell him that this is what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, let's go ahead and have you roll a thing coming to my mind right now. Let's have you roll a performance check to give off a general air of what's going on.
Critical fail.
Okay.
Hey!
I have no idea what you're going to do with that, but yeah, critical fail. Technically a 4.
4? Wonderful.
He was
it.
actually speaking out loud. It just wasn't in his brain. He was just
saying, like,
monologuing to
I
himself.
don't like him, but I want everybody to come talk to me about it.
I love that. Yes, that's what happens. You're like, man, you know, this is kind of crazy. You're just talking to yourself. You hear like someone swabbing the deck by you and like
just mumbling like a crazy
while you're
person.
like mumbling, and you're like, you know, this is kind of crazy. Like, but I'm gonna
maybe
support
I can be an ear that they can hear, people they can listen. Yeah.
Yeah, I supported him. I want him to be, and as you look at this guy out of the corner of your eye, he makes eye contact with you, and you look back down. You're like, but I want to be like an open ear so people can come talk to me. And so he just like shifts further away from you while he scrubs the deck, and yeah. So we'll see if your air of confidence or casualness will pull people to you there to talk about Ataraxia. But at this time, Ignis, as you are ordering people around on the deck while Ataraxia is making flower pies there, Sandara comes up to you and goes, "Hey, you know, for somebody who likes to order people around, I was thinking that you might step up to be captain, but the world is full of surprises, ain't it?"
Ignis says, without looking at her, as she watches Ataraxia walk away, she just says, "Rotetta has weaved her tapestry. Now we get to admire the colors." And then she walks away from Centaura. Ignis has a high intelligence but low wisdom and doesn't realize that her response did not answer Zendara's question. She's read a lot of books, her ability to talk to people is quite poor. And not understanding that she was trying to spark a conversation, she's just like, yeah. And then she walks away because she's on her own mission and she has her own things to do. So she's starting to order people around, and as she's thinking to herself, watching people walk around, thinking about this whole captain situation. She's remembering back to the books that she has read on piracy and the things that she learned growing up, and not necessarily overhearing Buster mumbling to himself, but she's very much on the same wavelength that to her, pirates and criminals are only kept in line out of fear. So, without any authorization and an inability to feel the vibe of the kind of crew that Ataraxia is trying to create, Ignis will go down to the brig of the ship. How many people do we have down there that, after our mutiny, what happened between us throwing Plug off and us rounding up these people? Why were these people specifically rounded up? And how many?
Yeah, so they were rounded up because they were the first mate. They were supporting Mr. Plug and were trying to rise the ranks of his crew. Yeah, his crew there, and so that's why they were there in particular, and why you were like, there's just no way that they could be a part of our mutiny or they could even be a part of our crew. They were too devoted to Mr. Plug and the old ship to be able to follow anybody else. And there's only about 3 of them.
Oh, there's only 3. Perfect. Have we been able to lash them together via rope or chain or some other flotsam and jetsam on this boat? Or we just threw them in a makeshift cage?
Yeah, so they're in a cage, but they do have some sort of chains on their wrists that are chafing their skin. You take them off every once in a while and attach them to their legs so that the chafing doesn't get so bad. And you rotate back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
That's really nice if we ever thought to do that. That clearly was not Ignis. So she will unlock the cage and drag these poor prisoners up onto the deck of the ship, out into the sunlight.
Yeah, and as the sun is starting to set, so this is like sunset time, and as you bring all 3 of them up, rather roughly, Sandara is waiting at the top of the stairs as she's got that relaxed posture where she's leaning on the boat, 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot kind of on the wall, as she is just tying a piece of rope and practicing knots in her hand. And as you walk by her, she just looks with a curious eye as you go to the deck with the 3 prisoners.
Ignis will take the 3 prisoners over to the edge of the deck where a gangplank would traditionally be pulled when they come into port or where they let down the longboats. And she will explain to them essentially what has happened while they've been downstairs. We've decided that Ataraxia is going to be our captain now. Do any of you have a problem with that?
Before you can even ask your second question, one of the men just starts chuckling to himself and go, you're a lousy excuse for a pirate. Assigning a kid to be a captain like that. You won't last a week.
No, you won't last but a week. And she'll immediately throw him overboard. Chains and all.
There we go.
And roll an attack.
What kind of attack?
They're not gonna
Can I kick him from behind with my dexterity?
You could kick him with strength.
With my
to get him
strength?
off the ship. With your strength, madam.
Is he bound? Is he bound and tied, or is he
He's
let
chained,
loose?
right?
He is chained, yeah.
Yeah.
So would-
chains and all.
That would give her advantage, right?
Yeah.
What kind of... This might be a random question,
Yes.
but it's fitting into something. What is, Mickey, your character? What is it?
She's an Asimar fighter. So she's an angel.
Looks human. You wouldn't know she's anything other than human.
Which is what?
A celestial.
A celestial. Gotcha. I cast protection from good and evil. Toward the prisoners.
You're protecting the prisoners?
Okay.
I think that applies to me. I think it does.
Yeah. Maximus is up in the crow's nest, and he, as soon as he sees kind of this starting to brew, he's climbing down and walking kind of toward. It does require touch, though, so that is something.
That is true.
Gotta be right in their face.
Yeah, so he will try and before, and this might be a contested roll and all that, before she can kick, he will try and grab the prisoner, 1 to help, but 2 to cast that spell.
I don't think an Asmar is technically a celestial from the spell, but I think it should count. I like it.
I'm curious what a kind of effect it would have.
It gets disadvantage.
So it would just even out, right? It'd just be a straight roll.
Looking up the rules, new class, who's this?
That is interesting. I've never thought about those spells being used on a player character.
Yeah.
But because I feel like then that would apply to tieflings if it was fiendish. But that doesn't ever usually happen in D&D.
It's only very recently that they've started publishing races that have a creature type that's not humanoid. So like Ataraxia, as a satyr, he is a fae, but technically speaking, an Aasimar
is still humanoid. Yeah, not a celestial creature.
Mm-hmm.
The child of a humanoid and a celestial usually, right? Like
It's a
Or
bloodline
heritage.
thing. It's a
Yeah,
heritage thing. It's a bloodline
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Because they can, very much like a tiefling, they can be born to human parents, but it's not
Yes.
in their bloodline.
But there's probably a dozen other things you could do to keep him from falling into the ocean, Jacob.
There is. It was just that was the first idea I had, and I was like, "Oh, that might
It's
be a
really
cool
interesting.
thing to do." But if it doesn't work,
But do we even know that she's celestial? That she has any celestial origin? Have you displayed your wings at all? Like,
I mean, technically in the first battle we did, but I don't know. I did it for flavor just because we were playtesting some stuff, and it gave me extra boost, but...
Yeah, so a lot of the conversation right now for Aasimars, they are not celestial. They are pseudo-celestial. But let's go ahead and roll an initiative roll here just
Okay.
to see if you can get to act before the lieutenant or Ignis. So Ignis and Max, why don't you go ahead and roll initiative, and we'll figure that out. So Ignis, what'd you roll?
Ignis put her foot up and made a big show of about to shove him off. There was plenty of time for Max to get in and do something. I rolled a natural 1.
Yeah.
Critical fail.
All right, and Max, what'd you roll?
17.
Okay, so you can act first before you see that she's about to wind up, and you hear her go, "You won't last the week," and you're like, "Oh, something's gonna happen." So you can act in the crow's nest. You can jump on down or try and take some action. You were gonna try to get close to touch anyway, right? Is that still your goal?
All Max is going to do, if I can get close enough, Max will just step in between.
Yep, easy enough. Jump down from the crow's nest. You use your full movement, and then you step in between. And as she's about to kick, you grab her foot and you step in between. And you essentially, you don't push her, but you hold her. So as she tries to push against you, you are a solid like wall with your gleaming teeth as you stare at her. She's about to kick them off the side of the ship.
Hello there.
Ignis will use her foot to push off of him and take a step back, pulling out her rapier and pulling into like a battle stance. At this point, probably starting to draw attention of local crew members. What do you think you're doing?
I'm trying to protect any hands that we can have to help us sail the ship.
That's what I'm doing.
Like my... Oh, wait, let me finish talking, please. Like my friend has said, you do somewhat make a terrible pirate. Because if you knew anything about sailing, you need all hands on deck. And the less hands you have, the more likely you're going to die when something comes up.
hey, I know that I didn't roll initiative, but how close are these guys to the edge already?
They're about from where you currently are at on the helm.
I'm just like, if they're 5 feet from like a gap that they could fall from, maybe I just jerk the ship a little bit.
Let's have Max keep going with this conversation while you're
Sorry for
assessing
interrupting.
the situation. No, you're good.
I know we're kind of exiting combat with this conversation, so I wasn't sure what's happening.
We'll let Max keep going with what he's saying, but Buster, you're about 40 feet away right there. But after he resolves some of this
I
dialogue...
imagine there's a show. It's kind of a show almost that's happening.
Oh, that was her intention for sure.
I is essentially just going like there's these prisoners in chains that are on the edge of the ship getting ready to fall off, and it feels like Max is stopping it from happening. Like, I want to help it happen. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I want to see how this plays out first.
And I don't know how much you've read about pirates, But to keep them in line, you need to make sure they know who to fear. These are criminals, and they refuse to bow down to Ataraxia. I'm not going to let them stay on the ship and try and cause another mutiny. They need to be made an example of.
Here.
Listen, Sergeant.
Lieutenant.
Yes. I haven't read that much about pirates. I've just lived it. And I can tell you that any time a prisoner is sent to execution, that is solely and 100% the captain's call.
It isn't. It's the distribution of justice's job. And since Ataraxia, I think, is a little too young to decide this, don't you? I believe it's my job as first mate to take over this responsibility from him.
If we made him the captain, then we trust him. If you'd like to rearrange that situation, then by all means, start your own mutiny.
I want everybody to roll me a perception check except for Ataraxia.
Ignis is just glaring.
Roll a perception check.
Roll a perception check, please.
And Fish gets, this is called the Neapolitan slap. It's a very effective way to stretch the crust.
Really important work happening.
I actually do appreciate that. I mean, I didn't learn that from my mama. Mainly because she wasn't around, so,
Aww.
Dude, you and me both, brothers.
Huh. Very good. Okay, well, I'll try that out here.
What was everybody's perception?
27.
Oh.
9. Sorry, 7.
16.
Max.
It's got the wisdom.
As your gleaming teeth start glistening in the sun as it is almost fully set, the moon in the sky, though, also reflecting light. You see on the opposite side of the ship, near the boat, by the helm, one of the rowboats that is tied up right now, you see something move into the boat. And with your 27, you see it to be not a human. It is fish-like, and it has a weapon. But it just tries to sneak into the boat.
As he's staring at Ignis, he will telepathically talk to her. Because that is a feature of a gem dragon born. And he will say, basically in her mind,
I know this is freaky, don't panic.
because his voice is suddenly in her mind.
But I just saw something enter our ship near the lifeboats, right behind you, to the side.
Can she respond? Or is it one-way telepathic, or is it it's like message?
Again, it says you can telepathically speak to any creature within 30 feet of you. The creature needs to speak any one language to understand. So
I just understood.
I don't know about respond. It doesn't say anything about speaking back, Mickey. So you just hear.
As you say this, to your right, near the front of the ship, the bow of the ship, you see two other fish-like creatures are actually climbing up the side of the ship.
And Max will just, again, speak telepathically to her.
Two now are coming up the front. We need to act.
And he'll start moving toward actually Buster.
Okay.
And at the exact same moment, she moves in the opposite direction, kind of trying to split that. Essentially, because we know they're coming up the front and from the back, if he's going back, she's going front.
Okay, sounds good.
I half expected, Mickey, that you were just going to, like, turn around and kick the people off as he walked away.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
I
Josh.
know. Okay. Apologies.
Oh, I was going to shout one more thing at Buster, but if we need to
let's go ahead and do that, because you haven't initiated combat yet, and neither have these folks. They're still positioning. So as Ignis goes to the bow and Max goes to the back to the helm, Max, what was one thing you wanted to say?
It's going to be telepathic again because he doesn't want to give it away. He's going to approach and get within 30 feet of Buster and telepathically pop up into his mind and say,
I know this is freaky, don't freak out. I need you to put the ship hard to port now.
Do I realize it's him?
Yeah, it's his voice.
It's a very distinct voice.
Okay. Hard to port?
Mm-hmm.
He said?
That's
Yes,
to the
he
left.
did.
I don't know that I want to do it. What did he tell us that we were getting attacked? Did he say we were being boarded?
He just said, I need you to trust me.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm squinting my eyes at him because I don't like that he stopped her from displaying a sign of force. If anything, our authority on the ship now looks terrible because of that interaction to the crew. I don't know that they want to cooperate with him, but I am terrified of him.
And it's at this time I need everybody to roll initiative, please.
All right, here we go.
Interesting choices. Better. I love character conflict.
Yeah.
All right, Ataraxia, did you roll initiative as well?
I did.
Okay, let's start with Ataraxia. What you got?
7.
Buster.
19.
19. Lieutenant.
21.
21. Max.
21.
21. Whoa. Okay, this is the order that's going to go down. Max has a higher dex than Lieutenant Ignis.
Mine's 3.
Mine's 3 as well.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Well, who wants to go first?
Jake can because he saw him.
Okay, sounds good. And then it's going to go to Buster. What's your dex modifier?
My dex modifier is 2.
Okay, sounds good. Buster. So it's going to go Max, Lieutenant, Buster, and then we'll go from there with these hidden enemies. They're not hidden anymore, though, at least audibly, because as you are deciding whether to go hard to port, you hear a conch shell being blown into the night, at least the beginning of the night. This is a call for battle to begin. And being a pirate, you know what this is, Buster. These are Sahugans, and that is their battle cry. So, as everybody's made aware that there is an attack happening, Max, you are first to go. You are in the middle of the ship. You only saw those 3 creatures. They're still trying to be hidden. You can still see them, though.
Max will start approaching the one on the port side. And
this one is closer to the helm as well, so it's kind of like you're approaching them, but also going closer to the helm with Buster as well.
yes.
I forgot to roll for Sandara.
Is that off the port quarter?
Isn't it port?
There's-
It would be the port beam. Port quarter is like behind Buster off to the port side.
Okay.
We're going to have to make some index cards so that
Yeah,
we can
we will.
be brushing up on the parts of the ship.
Some digital index cards for us and for our listeners here.
Here's what's great is as a party, we're a hot mess right now. Like, there's so little trust, and
Oh my gosh.
we're absolutely fumbling the ball of leadership. It'll be really fun to contrast like this, and we're all also like, we as people, we don't know all the nautical terms, so it'll be really funny to like look at this versus like where we land at like the end of the
like
season.
in
if
2
we're
years,
like,
yeah.
if we're actually
that'd
like
be
an
sweet.
well-oiled machine, and we all know the names of ship stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, back at the beginning of Campaign 1, Fleeple was ready to let Lance just go because he didn't seem to want to hang around.
And Lance didn't even participate in the first battle.
That's true. Oh my gosh. All right, Max, what are we doing here?
Max is going to lift up with his kind of... He's got like this thing where his heavy crossbow, he has the trigger, but instead of holding the bottom, he's created almost a handle on the top. So it's literally like almost like the mounted gun like you talked about, Thomas, in
From Halo.
Where you
Is this the
spray it, and
ballista from last
Yeah,
time?
Yeah,
Nice.
basically he lifts it up and he'll aim and fire.
Nice.
Right at the guy.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Okay, there we go.
And it's just as they stand up, and they're blowing the conch shell right now, and so you can see them in the light of the night.
That's going to be, it was a low roll, so it's only going to be 11.
Oh, it's a miss. As they see you, and they duck down just as it sails over them, and they yell in this guttural sound in your direction. It's very wet, very...
Is it a language?
Sahugans do have a language, don't they?
Because I have a language of some water creatures that I speak.
Aquin?
I do have
Nice.
Aquin. Yeah.
Is it Aquan?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, the language here is Sahuagin, actually.
Okay.
Oh.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is
So-
all for my turn.
All right, sounds good. As you... And they yell this wet call to their comrades. That's your go. We're going to now go to Lieutenant Ignis. And with battle being announced, it is easy to see the individuals that are trying to come onto the ship, as they are now on the railing just in front of you, so you can see them and interact with them.
She's going to rush to the Sahu again on the starboard bow side. And as she's rushing, she'll take out 2 of her hand axes. And with the first one, she'll just try to dig it right into his clavicle.
Okay, go and roll for an attack.
18.
18's a hit.
Which he is 3 damage.
3 damage, sounds good.
And from behind her back, she'll pull out another hand axe and throw it at the one on the port bow side.
Okay, go ahead and roll for that.
I can do that because it's light and thrown, right? They're both light weapons and light and thrown. Okay.
That's correct.
I've never done those before. Okay, and that one is a 21.
That's also a hit.
And another 3 slashing damage to that guy.
To the other one. Okay. Ataraxia, at this time, you hear a commotion and the call up on deck, and you're just below deck. So we can say that you've already started making your way up the stairs, if you choose, to where you will be on the main deck when it comes to your turn, just FYI.
Dude, Fish Guts, your crust stretching technique is looking great. I got to take care of something. You keep doing your thing down here.
Yeah, just try not to get us killed, I guess. Save us, Captain.
Will do.
Sounds good. So we will, it's not quite your turn yet. Just wanted to make that clear that you were able to get up to the tops here.
Booyah.
Great. So that is Lieutenant Ignis's turn. Okay. Jumping now to Buster. Buster, it's your go. You see the Sahuagin that Max just shot at. You see there are some on the on the bow of the ship that Ignis is just laying into with her weapons. You're at the helm. What do you do?
Okay, so I know of these creatures. Do I have any like tactical information about them or like threat level? Like, are they really like mean customers, or do I feel like Max and Ignis have got us covered? You know what I mean? Like,
these are terrifying creatures. They are creatures that do not come in. You know what? Let's have you roll a history. I won't make you do an action for this, but let's have you roll history here.
I'm gonna use one of my divination rolls.
Nice.
I rolled an 8. I rolled an 8, and I have a +3 to history, but I feel like I'm gonna need more than an 11. So I'll take a 15 that I rolled earlier, and that's so 18.
18. These are mean customers. They are very brutal, very tribal, and they never fight alone. They always fight in large packs if they can. Their goal when they do attack a ship is to either destroy everybody on the ship or sink the ship as fast as they can, which means that they might want to take control of the helm specifically.
There's probably more than what we're seeing.
That from your history check, you can deduce that your history, you're like, this it can't be just these 3 folks.
Okay, I'll have another crewman like nearby take over the helm.
Mm-hmm. You yell over to them and they go, "Aye, sir, I'll take this."
Yeah. Then I think I'm trying to think if I should look for others. As far as like the ones we can see, I feel pretty good about our team going after them. But I'm gonna go ahead and I guess there's nobody on the crow's nest now. With Vortex Warp, can I do it to myself?
Vortex Warp?
No, it's another creature you can see within range. Okay, so I can't do it for myself.
Well, what's your passive perception again?
My passive perception is 10.
10? Okay, sounds good.
Not great.
You can automatically see behind you, actually, as you give the helm over, there is another Sahuagin that is actually climbing up behind you on the back of the ship and is just crested over. It just has their hand as they're pulling themselves up, and they have a big toothy mouth that they are bared towards you with these long whiskers. That's what they're called on fish still, right? Whiskers, drooping down.
Barbels, I believe, is the biological term.
Barbels. They're barbels
gross.
falling down, and their
Gross.
gills on their neck just opening and as it bares its teeth at you. And this is within 20 feet of where you currently are.
Within 20 feet of me?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They are coming for you.
Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast!
Yeah.
You know what I realized? I don't think we said who everybody's class was.
Yeah, I'm not a warlock. That'll be nice and confusing. But
I know Buster said, I know Josh said that he was a wizard, but Eldritch Blast!
Because
Here
I
we
have
go.
the magic initiate feat.
Go ahead and roll, sir.
So I roll the attack.
Mm-hmm. Add your spell attack modifier.
Nat 20.
Nice!
First nat
that's a
20 in the
25.
campaign.
Let's go.
25 is a hit. Double damage here, sir.
All right. That's. I'm gonna roll physical dice. I'm doing the digital stuff, but damage feels better physical.
Physical.
Okay, so that's one digital 3 and one digital 9 for
All right, so 12.
12 elder.
Goodness
Is that
gracious.
force damage? Yep.
Goodness gracious. This Sahuagin is looking bloodied as you shoot the Eldritch Blast to them. A purple spray just as their shoulder kind of gets ripped open by force, and they're like, they are a bloodied creature.
I just yell Sahuagin, just so anybody else that knows.
The person next to you goes, "Oh, blimey!" as they're holding on to the helmet.
One guy just jumps off.
Now, Thomas, real quick, am I close enough that I can see or hear this natural 20 attack taking place?
Ooh, you are on the deck. I said you were on the deck. What's your distance that has to happen?
So here's we're going to get into kind of the bread and butter of my subclass. I am of the College of Epic Poetry. I am writing an epic poem about the adventures of my crewmates here. So, whenever I see or hear one of a certain type of event happening with one of my crewmates, I can use my reaction to write a verse in my epic poem. And the more verses I get in my poem, the more powerful my bardic inspiration becomes. So, one of the conditions is hubris. When I see one of my teammates roll a natural 20 on an attack roll or a saving throw, I can write down a verse in my epic poem. So, I pop up onto the deck just in time to see Buster absolutely demolish this thing in the face with an Eldritch Blast, and I go, hubris, dude, and I use my reaction to write down this event real quick.
That's exactly what happens. And it is like the thing of epic poems, because you see the Eldritch Blast like start to charge up, and it's the thing where it like builds and builds, and it goes like almost disappears before it just shoots out of his hand. What color is your Eldritch Blast, Buster?
It is a kind of sickly looking yellow, kind of pea colored, I guess would be the I don't. It's not made of that, but that's what came to mind.
Oh my gosh!
And when he fires it, none of the symbols on his scarf glow. It's from a different place, and he just goes, "Come on, Grandpa," and then fires. And so that's his somatic verbal.
Come on, Grandpa.
There you go.
Yeah,
Come on,
for Eldritch
Grandpa.
Blast.
And so that yellow, and then you just see the purple spray Ataraxia as you take your reaction, and you jot that down in your epic poetry there. Good thing you got on the deck so quickly there.
True story.
I love
True
it.
story,
This is really
folks.
cool.
You just get the one Eldritch Blast at 4th level, right?
That's it.
Sounds good. Any bonus or movement that you'd like to do?
No, I mean the only additional thing I want to do is just shout out that I know what we're facing.
Sahuagin, gotcha. Okay, sounds good. That was way good. That was Sahuagin number 3. Yep. Okay. So now, Buster.
The aft Sahuagin.
Yes. As your turn is done, we now go to the other Sahuagins here. Ataraxia, you see a Sahuagin pop out of this boat that Max shot at, and he's going to start making his way down.
Town, walking fast.
Make a move.
Face my
Faces
pass,
pass,
and
and
I'm
I'm homebound.
Ataraxia's just playing.
On my kalimba.
The ship's getting bored and he's walking up the stairs.
Work my way up deck. Things go fast. There's an Eldritch Blast.
Yes! Jake!
Jacob, take an inspiration.
Yes.
Ataraxia,
Yes.
you take us inspiration as well. That was brilliant.
booyah.
Spawn this whole thing. Oh, that was brilliant. Okay, so he's gonna bite you first off. That is a 21 to hit,
Oh boy.
and then he is going to, with his spear, try to stab you. It's a natural 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go.
So as he bites you, you kind of go, ah, ah, and as he goes to stab you, you go,
Mm-hmm. You know what? I get 1 free casting of silvery barbs per day because of my Fey touched feat that I took. So you know what? Oh wait, no, I already used my reaction to jot down
You
the
did
verse
use your reaction,
in my poem.
unfortunately. Well worth it, though.
Yeah,
I'd say.
as the teeth sink into my flesh and I go, worth it, dude.
Just bliss, man.
Just
Hubris. Just hubris. You're going to take 5 points of piercing damage. Ataraxia.
That's me, dude.
There we go. But then the spear attack is a wide hit. It does not get you. But as you get damaged, you see that the Sahuagin, its teeth, as it's barbed, has saliva now coming out of its mouth. Seeing that you are damaged and sees your blood on your tunic, your shirt, it now has this emotion wash over himself and seems to become fixated and focused on you, Ataraxia. That is Sahuagin number 4's turn.
Some bloodlust.
We now jump to Sahuagin number 5. That Buster you did not see coming up behind you.
No.
This one jumps over to you and is going to try to do the same thing. It's going to attack you. That's going to be a 12
That's a miss. Wow.
and a natural 20.
That is it's actually a 7.
Oh, your divine dice.
That's my last dice. It's a 7, not a nat 20.
Oh, seriously. Oh.
So that's it for my divination. But yeah,
Curses.
something this morning told me I was going to be needing to stop someone from biting me.
So as it goes to bite you, how do you block? How do you justify blocking out of this way for the bite and then
here's
using
what I would
your divine?
like because it's specifically the one I wasn't seeing. I like the idea that like I had a vision that I needed to like duck or move direction. So without even looking at him, I just dodge from both attacks. Yeah, that's how I just
So the bite, he goes to bite down on like your right shoulder and you duck out of the way and you turn around and immediately they follow up with a spear. And as it comes up, you lift your hands and you actually grab the haft of the spear and you pull it towards with momentum to kind of spin them out of the way to where you are now face to face with the Sahuagin, but no damage has been done. And now
Still
you're like,
scary.
"Huh." Still scary,
Yeah.
but that was the divine inspiration that you were blessed with. You were like, okay, and grab. But no damage to you, so no bloodlust. So, as we keep going forward here, before the last Sahuagin to go before Ataraxia is Sahuagin number 2. This is the one that got the axe chucked towards them from Ignis. They are going to jump onto the ship and start making their way behind Ignis to flank so they can start getting advantage here. So they are going to get advantage with both of their attacks. The bite comes down 19.
Hits.
That's going to be 3 points of damage. And as they have tasted your blood, they start to froth at the mouth and they get 22 to hit for their spear attack.
That also hits.
Okay. That's going to be 6 points of piercing damage with the spear against you as you feel some of the saliva drip off of your shoulder where you were bitten and blood is now pouring down your shoulder there. Not looking too... You don't like the look that they're giving you right now, although this one is one that you injured. And Ataraxia, as you see your crew and your ship being attacked before you take your turn... We're going to cut and end this week's episode of iCast Fireball.
Oh boy.
I knew it. I knew that was coming.
I know.
So, Ataraxia being called, we've had some disagreements on some of the minor duties on the ship, including execution of prisoners.
The minor
duties.
We're gonna kill you. It's a minor duty.
It's on my chore list. I spun it this week, and I got execute prisoners.
You spin the truth. Oh, I gotta kill the prisoners. Dang it.
Yes, swap
It's
That's why
better
I
than
can
washing the dishes.
I'll get it done before lunch.
Better than fish pizza.
Listen, it's got to be done. This is typical ship care. Yeah, you got it.
Well, as we see how this Sahuagin battle is going to unfurl, join us next time on I Cast Fireball here. But Josh, Ned, Jacob, Mickey, thank you so much for playing in this new campaign that we have going on. Listeners, we want to thank you for joining us on this new campaign. And you brand new listeners, who I think there will be at least a few of you jumping into season 2 because it just begins. We only have a few episodes released at this point. Thank you for jumping in without even listening to season 1 before. That's a lot of trust you're putting on us. We appreciate that. We see it. And we're going to do our darndest to keep that trust. So thank you so much, everybody. If you want to keep listening to what we've got an entire backlog of season 1 here. And we've got some fun stuff going on our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop, where they also have 3 years worth of content. They've got short form campaigns. They've got long form campaigns. They have Patreon exclusive campaigns that we got going on. But here's the kicker and the most exciting part about it. All with other TTRPG systems other than 5e. It's a ton of fun. Ned does a great job of explaining it. Don't forget to leave them a 5-star review on the way out while you are listening to them. But if you want to get in touch with us a little bit more, we've got our email, icastfireball2020@gmail.com. We have our patron exclusive Discord chat, which is only $5 a month that you can join and chat with us about theories, homebrew situations. We, in a recent Commune with Dungeon Master, we said we wanted to hear some of your homebrew stuff for 5e to where we can workshop it. We can take a look at it and start that fascinating conversation. Or you got our social media pages that you can reach out to us at iCastFireball20. Don't forget to check us out there and send us an email. We love hearing from you all. That's all we've got this week, though. So until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM, and around the table we've got
Lieutenant Ignis Harkon.
Maximus Shans.
Ataraxia Kalian.
And Buster Buildwater.
Let's keep that fire going, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.